Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about policing traffic violations and traffic court. And we're going to talk a little bit about drink driving as well, for drinking and driving for those of you new to the channel. Smart Drive Test helps new drivers get a license regardless of class, whether you're going for a bus or truck license, small bus, car, motorcycle, whatnot. We help you with all of that as well. We help veteran drivers to remain crash free, and the last couple of weeks and whatnot we've been doing some new videos on winter driving and how to drive in the winter time and how not to oversteer, overbrake, and over accelerate, because those will cause you to lose control of your vehicle. So that's what we're working on now. So if you have any questions at all about getting a license, anything about driving, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Pablo is here. He's getting his license in a few weeks. Where are you, Pablo, that you're getting your license? Are you in the States? You're here in Canada. Big Money Boss is there in Vegas. How's winter in Las Vegas there, Big Money Boss? And yes, I'm wearing my scarf. If you were just on Tim's basic Joomla tutorials live feed, he was having a poke at me about my scarf. Yes, it's about minus 13 degrees Celsius here, which I think is about 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And it is cold, and I refuse to turn the heat on. I'm just one of those guys. I'm like that dad ogre that refuses to put the heat on. So we're all New Year's resolution up, and we're going forward, and we're working on improving our driving, improving and getting our license, improving our lives by getting a new driving career and starting a career as a truck driver or a bus driver or some other career that we've had. Pablo's in Tennessee. Happy New Year there. And Pablo, is this your first license that you're getting there in Tennessee? Your car license? Or are you working on a CDL license? Just let me know that there. Okay, so everybody's here. So essentially what I'm going to talk about tonight is I'm going to talk about getting over by the police. If you drive long enough, you unfortunately are going to get pulled over by the police, or you're going to get a parking ticket. And it's just inevitable that eventually you're going to get a parking ticket. When I was younger, I had a great deal of trouble discerning the parking signs and where you could park, and particularly in Ottawa, Ontario, I got a lot of parking tickets for some reason there, because I had difficulty figuring out initially that you couldn't park on most of the main streets after 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because they cleared them for rush hour, so you couldn't park there, and inevitably I got quite a number of parking tickets. So excellent. Peterbilt Mark starts your CDL tomorrow. That's very exciting. I just gave you just a little bit of advice about that. Just hang in there, Mark, with your training, because in the first couple of days they throw everything at you. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that's the way we used to do it. We used to throw everything at the student, and the first 2 or 3 days you're like, oh my God. So just hang in there, because after the first 3 or 4 days it kind of becomes wash, rinse, repeat. So you'll get that all sorted out. All right, Pablo, excellent. First license, 16 years old. Very exciting. That is exciting. Calabo. Excellent. You passed your road test. That is awesome. And congratulations. I'm sure you're very happy. How are you enjoying driving around solo by yourself? How's that going? It's not hard here during the winter. Big Money Boss, he moved from Colorado, where I'm sure they had tons of snow like we do here in Vernon, to Las Vegas, Nevada, where they don't have any snow in the desert. Okay, but you're 17 and you're getting your first license. Awesome. Okay, so if anybody has any questions at all, let me know, and I'm more than happy to help you out. I do apologize for the lighting on the back here. I've got some reflective glare stuff I'm working on. I was messing around with the lighting before I was trying to get going here, and I didn't quite get it as the way I would like it. So, all right, so we'll just sort of hang out here for a minute. What I've got coming up Wednesday is learn how to drive in the snow. So this is for people who are new to snow, haven't driven in the snow, don't really know what the vehicle feels like when it breaks loose. When I say breaks loose, the wheels are spinning on the back end, or it won't steer because it's slippery conditions, or you hit the brakes and it won't stop. So I've put together some exercises for you on winter driving, and we'll show you how to do that on Wednesday. The other one I've got, we did get a lot of snow here in Vernon. We probably have 35, 40 centimeters on the ground, plus we've got about, I guess, 18 inches of snow. So the other thing I've done is put together a video about driving in deep snow, because we got a lot of snow all at once, and the crews didn't get out to clean it up because it takes a long time. And so I did a video on driving in deep snow, and I'll probably get that up at the end of the week for you. So that's what we're working on. Big Money Boss. I have a question. Okay, rolling stop and it's clear. Should I stop making a full stop if no cars are nearby? I can't really say, Big Money Boss. I mean, we're all susceptible to the culture of driving, and I know that you're probably going to get beeped at for full stops, especially there in Las Vegas. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me think about that, but I would say that you can. Is this a new vehicle, Delvey? Is this a new vehicle that you just purchased that you've got an unusual odor in there? The odor of marijuana? Just let me know that. Because I know something that if you got bad odors in your vehicle, one of the things you can use is vinegar and water, a lot of vinegar and water, and that'll help you get rid of that in the vehicle. All right, so we're talking tonight about, so what I'm going to do here, since we're not getting many questions, is what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about traffic violations, I'm going to talk about traffic court, I'm going to talk about police, and I'm going to talk about drink driving. And as we all see the anti-drink driving campaigns, and we shouldn't drink and drive. Unfortunately, it is inevitable that it is going to happen. Not you in particular, but other people are going to be doing it, and sometimes we do not make the best decisions about drinking and driving. If you choose to go out and party and you choose to drink and you're going to drive, then you're going to risk you're going to risk a lot. You're going to risk getting in a crash. You're going to risk getting caught by police, going to court, being prosecuted, potentially being convicted. And the problem with all of that is that if you go to court and you're prosecuted, and even if you're found not guilty, you're still going to spend an incredible amount of money on defense. I know people who have been prosecuted for drink driving but have been found not guilty. They still spend approximately $10,000 to get off that conviction or off that prosecution charge. So just know that if you choose to drink and drive, or you make that bad decision in a moment of inexperience, know that there are consequences for that, and even if you are found not guilty, those consequences are going to cost you a fair bit of money. So, okay? And exactly what Peterbilt Mark says is that Uber is cheap. However, I'll re-emphasize the point. Choosing not to drink and drive is not a choice that you make when you are drinking. It's a choice you make before you go out and drink and drive. And I mean, we have enough public awareness programs now that everybody knows that, but I just want to re-emphasize this a little bit and just kind of go over this a little bit. Okay? Yes, and that's a good point. Just let them honk at you. That's the other thing you need to do. But you need to take a deep breath. You need to know that they're going to honk at you and those types of things, because it's disconcerting when other drivers do honk at you. Okay. Jesse J, yes, that is excellent point. Yes, when you pull over, be courteous to the police, because if you are belligerent to them, they are going to make your life unpleasant. So know that. Okay. Moshi, I am in Vernon, British Columbia, Canada. But I have driven extensively throughout the States. I drove truck there in most of the 1990s. So, okay. Jesse J, where is the evidence that your laws apply? Yeah, we've had common law for a long time, Jesse, so you're not going to win that one. Okay, I oversteer a little bit. Yes. Okay, so Pablo, what you need to do is you need to go and look at the video on Learn How to Drive and go to the parking lot and work with the pylons. That'll help you to get better control of the primary controls of the vehicle, the steering, the brake, and the throttle on the vehicle. So that'll help you with that. Jeffrey is in New York. Jeffrey, are you in New York State or are you in New York City? Just let me know that there. Alpha Charlie. Alpha Charlie, my understanding about videotaping the police, first of all, I don't think I would do it because I would feel uncomfortable about it. I mean, unless something was not happening that should, obviously was an infraction of human rights. But a lot of people say you can do it as long as you're not interfering with their duties. You can videotape them. And unfortunately, they're a public figure, so that is something that's going to happen. Okay. I already did win many times. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that's probably a conversation for another time, Jesse. Is parallel parking, do you wait until the car is fully parked, or can you do once it to say 90% on the side? Rinwer, I would suggest that if somebody else is parallel parking in front of you, that you just be courteous and wait for them to finish parallel parking, or at least finish that they get into the space. And then that way, it helps them out because, if you're trying to squeeze past them, it's a new driver, and we all know what it's like to be new drivers. They're just going to feel hemmed in, and it's going to throw them off their game a little bit. So if it's just really courteous for them to wait. So Jeffrey's in New York City. Cool. I am Boss. How are you? And Moshi is in California. Excellent. Okay, Mark Stevens confronting Scottsdale City Council. Well, City Council, Jesse, you need to know this, that City Council is not a court, and a court is a different place than a City Council meeting. Okay, so you'd be hard-pressed in this day and age to go up against the establishment, and you can email me and we can have a different conversation about going up against the establishment. Yeah. Rinwer, you're going to do that. If you're waiting at a stop sign and you come to a complete stop, unfortunately other people are going to be impatient and they're going to honk at you. But as Jesse, I believe, said, just let them honk. Let them go and have their crash somewhere else. It's going to happen inevitably. Okay, you just need to be safe. You need to look after what you're doing, and you need to focus on what you're doing. That is one of the most important aspects of driving. Focus on what you're doing. Big money boss. Go get some of those 36-inch, 1 meter tall pylons and go and work in the parking lot and back up and do reverse figure eights and forward figure eights. All of that's going to help you back up. You need more practice. That's what you need to do. Lee Andrews. I don't think I can answer that question for you, Lee. I've been sort of thinking that. You can see I'm wearing a scarf, so it's cold here. There we go. Sarah, learn after 10 hours of practice. You should be not too bad, Sarah. Okay. Ashimer, that is a discretionary thing whether the officer will issue points on your license. So, okay. Okay, Jesse, you and I are not going to... We'll have a discussion about this later, okay? Joseph... Joseph, yes. If he didn't want to go through the courts or through the insurance, he already had problems with the police, and he's got some other stuff going on there. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna flip over to the PowerPoint presentation here, and just one sec. Let's get computer working here. Okay. Delv, can you do another manual driving video where we can shift faster? Oh, okay. So you want me to do a video where I'm just regular driving like I would normally, shifting gears pretty quick, going through the gears more quickly? Where are you in the world, Jesse, that you're having such success with getting off tickets? Yes, big money boss. It's cold in my house. Okay. Here we go. All right. Transition. There we go. Okay, getting pulled over, traffic violations. For those of you who don't know me or haven't been to Smart Drive Test before, my name is Rick August. I do have a PhD in traffic safety, essentially I looked at the transition between motor traffic and the transition between horse-drawn traffic and motor traffic in the early part of the 20th century, and the subsequent increase in road speeds impact on policing and law. So how policing and law moved to regulate these higher road speeds at the beginning of the 20th century. As well, I've been a driving instructor for 20 years. I've driven truck in 2 countries, in Canada and the United States. I drove all over Canada and the United States with truck, and I drove bus in Australia for Greyhound as well. All right. Okay, and if you haven't gone over to the Mastermind Facebook group and signed up for that, please do that as well, because pooling our knowledge, sharing our information is really helpful to a lot of drivers, and you can get specific information. We've had some really good discussions lately. One of the questions that I would really ask you to kind of help me out with is, I've had a couple of smart drivers who don't have access to a vehicle, and they don't have access to mentors, people that can help them learn how to drive. And I would like to mine your thinking about, how do these people get experience to pass a road test or to become better drivers? How do they do that? So what are some of the options? Some of the options that I've proposed is to go and find seniors, older people who have cars, who don't really want to drive but are more than happy to have you drive them around, and those types of things, or working with couriers and other types of things. So those are some of the solutions that I've come up with, but if you have ideas about that as well, that would be really exceptionally helpful. So head over to the Smart Drive Test, the Smart Drivers Mastermind group. You can find the link down in the description there. Head over there and sign up for that, and help us out with your really great information and knowledge. Oh, page down. There we go. Page down. Okay, so if you drive long enough and you do speed, eventually you're going to get pulled over. And unfortunately, there are speed traps, and you're going to get caught in a speed trap. And yes, police will never say this out loud, but yes, they do. There are some police departments and police forces that do in fact have quotas. So they do have to give out a certain amount of speeding tickets every month. As well, there are special designated traffic units that is all they do, is police traffic. And despite the fact that most police departments would like you to think that they're the thin blue line, they're the line between us and crime, most of what police do is not fight crime. 80% of most police force resources are towards policing traffic and order maintenance. And order maintenance is basically making sure that society is getting along, all the people in the society are getting along with one another. So that's most of what police do. And police are busy. Most police forces are usually understaffed, especially during nighttime hours and overnight and those types of things. In a city the size of Vernon, which is probably 30 or 40,000 people, we probably only have 3 or 4 police officers on duty at night. And so if one of them gets tied up, then the rest of them are left to do the rest of the work in that city or town, in policing that city. So if you do get pulled over for speeding, oftentimes you either got caught in a speed trap, you got pulled over by one of these specific traffic units that's what they do, is they police traffic, or you were speeding excessively, like 20, 30, 40 kilometers an hour, or 20 or 30 miles an hour over the speed limit. If you're doing that, then you're definitely going to get pulled over. So when you get pulled over, as one of the smart drivers just said here, be polite to them. First of all, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Follow directions. Do not get out of the vehicle if they come up to the car. Simply stay in the vehicle and follow the directions of the police officer. And don't deny what you did. Oh, I wasn't speeding, because if you start denying what happened, then it's a good chance that you're going to get a ticket, and sometimes you're going to get more than just a ticket. So know that when you get pulled over. So be pleasant. I've been pulled over on a number of times, but I've had a long driving career, and like I said, I drove professionally too. I've been pulled over for random things. I got pulled over in the bus because I had a trainee in the bus, and he was standing down in the footwell, or the steps that come up from the door, and the police saw him standing in the steps and wondered what was going on and didn't realize he was a trainee and pulled us over. So we got pulled over for random things like that, right? And the police could have made our life kind of miserable had I been, belligerent with him or belligerent with her, and So they're people too, and if you're nice to them, it's gonna be less painful for you in the long run. And a lot of times, I would say in most cases that I've been pulled over, I've received warnings as opposed to tickets. So probably in about 75% of the cases, I've actually gotten warnings as opposed to tickets. All right. So speeding, I already talked about speeding and what the definitions of speed are, and you can have a look at this video here on posted speed limits. But the definition of speeding is not a simple definition, as I've talked about in other videos. Definitions of speeding, according to the posted speed limit, the flow of traffic, excessive speed, and as I said, if you're doing 30 or 40 kilometers an hour over the speed limit or 20 or 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, you're probably going to get pulled over by a police officer. And if you're exceeding the traffic flow excessively or you're weaving in and out of traffic, there's a really good chance that you're going to get pulled over. Okay, parking tickets. We're all going to get parking tickets at some point. And we, as drivers, as a society in North America, in Australia, I studied this in Australia, and other places in the world, we just really resent paying for parking. I don't know why that is. But the meter maids, as they're called, have a job where they're policing parking, and we're going to get parking tickets. And really, there's not really an avenue for fighting parking tickets. Usually, it's just easier to pay the parking ticket and carry on with your life because it doesn't have any impact on your license or your insurance. You just got a parking ticket, so it's just easier just to pay it. And usually now they've put in a bonus system that if you pay it within 2 weeks, it's only half the cost of what it would be if you don't pay it initially. So that's one of the things that you can do. And the other thing is that in the end, it's just cheaper to put the $5 in the meter and pay for parking as opposed to the $20, $30, $40, $50 parking tickets you're going to get, especially if you're in the bigger metropolitan areas and you get a parking ticket. Like if you're in downtown LA in Manhattan and you're double parked and you get a parking ticket, you're probably going to get a parking ticket for $150 or $200. I mean, some of the people that live in New York will probably be able to get better information on how much that ticket's going to be. But in different areas, or you park in front of a fire hydrant, or you park in a loading zone, or those types of things, those tickets are going to incur a bigger fine as opposed to the other ones. Now, if you do get a speeding ticket, you have the option of pleading not guilty and going to court and appearing in court. Now, my understanding is, and maybe some of the smart drivers can help me with this, is previously, if you showed up to traffic court and the police officer did not show up to traffic court, you were automatically let go. Now, I think they may have closed that loophole here in Canada. I don't know if it might still be the same in North America, or in the United States and other places, but just leave a comment there and let me know. And so you can show up into traffic court. There are a couple of options that you can do in traffic court. You don't necessarily have to get a lawyer. You can get a paralegal to represent you in court, and I have done that in the past. I got a speeding ticket when I was driving truck that incurred 3 demerit points. I was probably going 30 kilometers an hour over the speed limit, and I didn't want the demerit points on my license because it impacts your insurance. It impacts, for those who are professional drivers, it impacts everybody. Professional drivers have an abstract, a driver's abstract that lists all of your driving infractions. And to get a job as a professional driver, you don't want that on your professional driving abstract. So what I did was I hired a paralegal, and I said to him, listen, I don't mind paying the money for the ticket, but I don't want the 3 points. And so the paralegal represented me in court, went to court, got me off the points, and all I had to do was pay the fine. So that's another avenue that you can do. And then if it's a serious driving infraction, you can get a lawyer to represent you, and that's another way that you can do it too. But you probably want some sort of legal counsel if you're going to court, because it can be a bit intimidating. Or you can talk to Jesse there, because Jesse seems to have this traffic thing figured out. Now, I talked a little bit about in the introduction about drink driving, and I'm not going to talk too much about that. However, it is a serious traffic violation, and Canada is one of the few places in the world that doesn't charge drink driving under the Highway Traffic Act. And just a little bit of background on law. There's sort of 3 levels of law. So there's municipal law, and there's provincial or state law, and then there's federal law. And most traffic violations are charged under provincial or state law. Now, here in Canada, Drink driving is not charged under the Highway Traffic Act as it is in other countries in the world. Drink driving in Canada is charged under the criminal code. So if you're prosecuted and convicted for drink driving in Canada, you are considered a criminal. You have a criminal record because you're charged under the criminal code, the federal criminal code, as opposed to other countries. It's still considered a heinous crime. It's not a heinous crime, but it's still considered a heinous traffic violation, but it's charged under the Highway Traffic Act, so it's somewhat different. And I also talked about, even if you're found not guilty in drink driving, it's still expensive to get yourself found not guilty. So know that. Okay, and road rage, and a couple of people were asking me about not stopping at stop signs and those types of things. Just let them honk, but know that it's going to happen and those types of things. Okay, so if you're late, if you didn't schedule appointments well, and sometimes this happens to us, we get late and then we start speeding because we have a cultural acceptance that it's not as big a deal to speed as it is to be late for an appointment, so we speed. If you get pulled over and those types of things, it's sometimes because we get in a hurry and we're trying to make up time. So try to leave yourself more time and know that maybe it's better to be a couple of minutes late as opposed to trying to speed and getting pulled over. Because if you get pulled over, I can tell you from personal experience that when you get pulled over by police and they write you a traffic ticket, you're going to be on the side of the road for at least 40 minutes. So it's going to be an even longer delay. Okay? And that other piece was left in there. So just breathe and those types of things, and take your time and whatnot. And we're talking about the new year, and I just want to re-emphasize this point about courtesy. Let's all be nice to one another in practice random acts of kindness. This is my sort of push for the new year and whatnot, and I did this at Christmas as well. So, buy other people a coffee, pay for the person behind you in line for a coffee, leave $1 in the shopping cart at the supermarket when you put your cart back and those types of things. And when we're driving, let other vehicles and drivers in. And as well, in the end, smile at other people when you go by, and they always return a smile. So good luck on your road test. Happy New Year's to all of the smart drivers. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So we'll get back here. Okay. One sec. There we go. And we'll put the comments back. Otherwise, Corey will be after me for that. There we go. Okay. All right. Big money boss. I hate being nice. Okay. IRP. Tim, I'm not certain what is IRP. Just remind me what that is. Jeffrey. Happy New Year to you as well, Tim. Habeas corpus. Yes, I have, Jesse. So Tim, in BC, we cannot. There isn't. So they can't negotiate that. So that if somebody went to court and represented that for you, they couldn't get you off the points, and then you just pay the fine. Is that's not an option here? Borev, that's a good idea. Yes, just stay out of trouble. Okay. Yes, Borev, that's some good information there. Yes. Drive legal, follow the driving laws, be kind to the police, keep hands visible, keep papers and information ready. Yes, make sure, and that's a really good point that you made there about having your insurance and having your registration in the vehicle. And if you borrow somebody else's vehicle, ask them before you get in the vehicle and before you drive off, where is the registration and where is the insurance for the vehicle? Because if you get pulled over, you need to have both those things with you. Because I don't know if this is true or not, but just one of the smart drivers may know this or not. You used to have 24 hours to produce your driver's license. So if you, for whatever reason, you didn't have your driver's license on you, you could have 24 hours to produce it. Now, if you, this is one of those points that I was making about that if you are arrogant or disrespectful to the police and you start swearing at them or giving them a really hard time, and say, for example, you forgot your license, they're just going to write you a fine for not having your license. Whereas if you are nice to them and pleasant and respectful and you don't have your license, you say, listen, I don't have my license on it, but I have it at home and I can bring it down to the police station. Can I do that? There is some discretion on the part of the police. So if that happens to you in the unlikely event, you could bring your license down to the police station and you wouldn't be charged for not having your license or any other paperwork that you might not have. All right? So know that. Okay, what? Oh, okay, here we go. Question I missed. Hypercars. What's a hypercar? I am boss. What's that? All right, here we go. Okay. Yes, Edwin, it does pay to be nice. And as I say to people, it doesn't take any time out of your day to be nice to people. And especially to people who are in positions of power who could potentially make your life unpleasant. Yes. Jesus, I realize I owe you an apology. I've been mispronouncing your name and you didn't tell me. I do apologize. Happy New Year to you as well. Excellent. That's great. Okay. There we go. So in British Columbia, if you're convicted for a traffic ticket, you're going to get points. You're not there. You can't negotiate that in a court of law, according to Drive Smart BC, who is a retired police officer. So that's coming from a really good source there. Thank you for that. Okay. Yes. IOTQ. Yes, that's great. Yes, have your information in the vehicle. JFSA. JFSA, yes, there is a bit of a learning curve switching from a non-synchro mesh transmission back to a small car. You'll find it a bit weird, and you'll probably find you stall it a fair bit. However, it can be done. I mean, I did do it all the time, but you know, the first 10 or 15 minutes getting back into your personal car that's a manual transmission, you're probably going to stall it, because on a big diesel, you're just so used to just letting the clutch out and having the engine torque up on you. Small electronic gasoline engines don't do that. So yeah, but no, I would recommend that you do that. Oh, the oversteering. Okay, Pablo, it's called oversteering. So just search oversteering there, or otherwise, when I get done here, just remind me and I'll put that video down in the description for you there, okay? Jesse, you're getting into academic arguments about police and courts. There we go. Ramesh, can you give me tips on driving in the snow? Yes. Go slow, Ramesh, and test early before you get to the intersection, because the intersection is going to be slippery because the vehicles come up and they brake. So know that, and when they brake, they create friction, which causes heat and melts the ice a little bit, and you get a layer of water on top of the ice and snow, and that causes it to be slippery at and near intersections. So know that, and as well, make sure you slow down well for the turns and those types of things. And look for the video, Ramesh, on Wednesday. It will definitely show you some techniques and skills that you can put in place, and some exercises that you can do in the parking lot that will help you to be able to drive in the wintertime. So that's really going to do that. Okay. I am boss. It depends on how loud it is. This is another one of those things in the court of law that there has to be specific standards set in place, and it has to be a certain decibel. I mean, would seem that they probably don't, because there are certainly a lot of motorcycles, Harley motorcycles out there that are incredibly loud that don't get pulled over in those types of things. Oh, okay. There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks, Bricks for Wheels. Happy New Year, Tim. All the best. Have a good night. Thanks for your great comments there. That really helped out with the information. So, okay. Edwin, I don't want the officer to think I'm driving away, but I do want witnesses, and he... I'm not following what you're saying there, Edwin. I'm sorry about that. Okay, Harry, Happy New Year to you as well, Harry. How are you? Oh, excellent question, Harry. I just went back up. I saw your question there. Pablo. There we go. Thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Okay, so Harry, if your vehicle goes into a skid, take your foot off the throttle, take your foot off the brake, hold on to the steering wheel, and look in the direction that you want to go. Okay, that's what you do when you get into a skid. And the other thing is make sure you have your seatbelt put on. The pedal, there's a dead pedal right over on the left side, down in the footwell there. Put your foot on that, push back on it, and hold yourself in the seat and steer the vehicle in the direction you want to go. And both hands on the steering wheel, only a quarter of a turn at a time. Okay, so know that. All right, and that's the way that you recover from a skid. And don't give up. That's the other thing about it. All right. Okay, Harold. Yeah, Harold, I might have to check Google for you on that. That sounds a bit complicated. Okay, so one way, 4 lanes from 4th Ave, turning left to 1st. All right, so the general rule, Harold, for turning is that straight through vehicles have the right of way over turning vehicles. And if the vehicles are turning, so right turning vehicles have the right of way over left turning vehicles. I don't know whether that'll help you out or not, okay? Shabir, Happy New Year to you. Edwin, oh, can I drive to a well-lit area? Okay, Edwin, if you get pulled over by police, one thing that I do suggest you is to go somewhere that's going to allow you to get off the roadway. And that's a really good point. You don't have to pull over on the side of the road immediately. So, for example, if you're on a bridge and there's just no place to pull over, drive across the bridge and find some place to pull over. Yes, you could go into a fuel station or some other place that's well lit. Yes, you can drive somewhere that will allow you to pull over and be safe and be in a well lit area and those types of things as well. Okay, so know that. If you're concerned about it, I mean, the other thing you can do, Edwin, is get yourself a dash cam and just have the dash cam running all the time. Dash cams do record audio, so if something goes awry or something said, then you do have a recording of that, so know that as well. Okay, so that's another option for you. I am boss. I don't know that. Somebody else might have a better answer for you about rolling coal. I know it's not socially acceptable. I really don't like it when somebody does it, and I certainly don't. It's not environmental, but you know, at one and the same time, Cameo de Rodeo, you know, that stuff just really is really fun. So. Okay, Ramesh, you can drive your car without winter tires. One of the things you need to check, first, I'll just retract that statement, because there are quite a number of places here in British Columbia and in Quebec and other states where you have to have winter tires on your vehicle. But that's not winter tires per se. You have to have tires on your vehicle that have either the snowflake symbol on the tire, or they have to have M&S, which stands for mud and snow on the sidewall of the tire. So there's a lot of all-season tires that are winter rated, or M&S tires that you can put on your vehicle. So know that as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be specific winter tires, but you can, because winter tires aren't going to save you. Okay, if you're driving too fast for conditions, winter tires aren't going to save you. It's just, so just know that. Okay. All right. Okay, Jamaican girls. I am a security officer. I take firearms from home to... Okay, how do I deal with that? Okay. First of all, the first question is, do you have a permit for those firearms? If you have a permit for those firearms, when you get pulled over by police, that would be the first thing that you would indicate to the police. You would have your permit, and you would say, I have firearms in the vehicle. I work as a security officer. It is part of my job. Here is my permit for carrying the firearm. Okay, so that would be the first thing. And then that way the police know, and you're not hiding something, and they don't, search your vehicle or whatnot and find those firearms in there. Okay, so know that. Okay, yes, Peterbilt Mark. Yes, it's not surprising that it is illegal in California to roll coal. Okay, ski tricks. DOT and police don't need probable cause to make a traffic stop in a CMV. Ski tricks. What is a CMV? I'm not familiar with that acronym. Sat Ann, do you teach snow driving? I'm from Siberia and would like to see such an occupation. Well, welcome to the live feed. Welcome to Smart Drive Test, Sat Ann. Yes, I can teach winter driving. And I have some videos here. There's a playlist here looking at winter driving and those types of things. And as I mentioned previously, Sadan, look for the video on Wednesday. I teach you specifically some exercises that will help you to drive in the wintertime and deal with understeering, over acceleration, and over braking, and seeing whether you're going to get stopped and those types of things. Adrian, you are absolutely correct. Yes, driving too slow is dangerous. It is unpredictable action, so you will get into trouble. Okay, commercial motor vehicle, CDL, ski tricks. Yes. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you for that, clarifying that for me. Okay. And you're right, ski tricks, they don't have to have probable cause to pull you over. They can simply pull you over in an inspection to check for compliance. They can do a pre-trip inspection on the vehicle at any time. They can pull you over, and they can look at your logbook, and they can look at the documentation on the vehicle. They can request bills of lading, and they can ask to inspect the load on the vehicle, on the commercial vehicle. Yes, one of the things that people don't know about CDL licenses is that truck drivers and bus drivers, the commercial driving industry, is the only industry in society that has its own police force. In the United States, it's the DOT, the Department of Transportation. Here in British Columbia, it's the CVSE, the Commercial Vehicle Safety and Enforcement. And that's what all of that is about. So yes, no, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Okay. Ramesh. Oh, okay. Ramesh. Sorry. Can law enforcement officers check your driver's license without any reason or in check post stop? Ramesh, not as a rule in your personal vehicle. They have to have probable cause. Now, probable cause is something opened up to discretion. So, again, being nice to them is going to go a long way to help you out. Okay, Harold. Okay, merging car, am I right? If I'm at 90 and 80. Again, Harold, that's a difficult question to answer because it depends on the specific situation of where you are. What you need to do You need it. Sometimes you're going to slow down, and sometimes you're going to speed up. It's going to depend on where the vehicles are situated on the roadway. So just know that as well. Okay. Gordon. Yes. I wonder if somebody pointed that out to the police officer that, yeah, it wasn't a school zone. But I mean, the other thing is that sometimes we don't know the information that's going on around the situation where the police officer pulled the vehicle over, and he or she may have pulled the vehicle over for some other reason other than being in a school zone. Okay, Lee, I've noticed roundabouts are not common here in Canada. Four-way junctions are. Do you feel roundabouts would help the flow of traffic? Oh, definitely, Lee. Yes, roundabouts, all kinds of studies have shown that roundabouts move more traffic. As well, they're better for urban noise pollution and fuel economy and those types of things, because most of the time vehicles don't have to move, and there's far fewer points of conflict in a roundabout as opposed to a conventional intersection. So they're beginning to make an appearance on our culture, on our driving landscape, but they're slow coming. But roundabouts are definitely the way to go, that's for sure. Sad Ann. Thank you so much for that. Ski Tricks, you are most welcome. Okay. Ramesh, what is the best way to react when car slides on snow? Okay, Ramesh, the best way we talked about this a little bit previously is the best way to do it. Take your foot off the brake, take your foot off the throttle, hold the steering wheel, both hands, look where you want the vehicle to go, and simply steer the vehicle. And try not to move it more than a quarter of a turn. Okay? Because if you move it too much, you may get the vehicle around and you go into a skid or whatnot. So just look in the direction that you want to go. Okay, so know that. All right. Yes, Gordon, absolutely. Roundabouts are the best if people, give way to the traffic that's in the roundabout before approaching and those types of things. There is a bit of a learning curve for roundabouts, and I remember this from when I first moved to Australia. And it took me about 6 weeks to sort of get comfortable with roundabouts. And I think the challenge for people who are not familiar with roundabouts is that as you're coming up to the roundabout, you have to scan well ahead into the roundabout. And as you're approaching the roundabout, you have to be prepared to both go and stop at the same time. So that's a bit of a transition, especially because we don't have too many of them in Canada or in the United States. A lot of people are having some challenges learning how to do them. So it is a bit of a learning curve for so many people. Okay, yeah, or give way. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Can you tell us a number one priority as a driver that we need to do, Ramesh? Well, that's a big question. One of the things I would suggest, Ramesh, is that you need to be predictable on the roadway. So you need to learn the culture of driving. You need to learn the road rules and those types of things, and to try and be predictable and do what other traffic is doing. So, for example, if you're going to make a turn, don't stop halfway in the turn, because that's an unpredictable action. If you're driving below the speed limit, that's an unpredictable action and it holds up traffic. So you want to try and remain predictable, and that's one of the best ways that you can stay safe on the roadway. Okay. There we go. All right, so I am boss. How do you tell if an undercover police officer is pulling you over? Well, they have flashing lights on their car, for one thing, or on the vehicle. That's for sure. And if they're undercover, they're required to show you identification and to identify themselves as police. That is one of the things that they have to do according to the law. I am boss, and oftentimes it is not difficult to discover a undercover police car or vehicle, because there's a lot of equipment on an undercover police vehicle that identifies it as a cruiser. I mean, there are some out there that are very well disguised, but for the most part, you can tell. Okay. Harold, do you need to signal left when entering a roundabout? Harold, have a look at the video here on the channel on roundabouts. Basically, you treat a roundabout as a conventional intersection. So if you're going to turn right, you signal right as you're going into the roundabout. If you're going to go left, then signal left into the roundabout. And, you know, just take your time. And if it's a bigger roundabout and you have time to signal out of the roundabout, then definitely signal out of the roundabout. Okay, so know that. For the purposes of driving and roundabouts, and definitely have a look at the video here on the channel, and that'll help you out with how to handle a roundabout and those types of things. Sat Ann, thank you and Happy New Year's, and Happy New Year's to you as well there in Siberia. I'm sure it's pretty chilly there in Siberia. Okay. Okay, Gordon, what are some defensive techniques against drivers that you do not, who do not yield? One of the things I would suggest to you, Gordon, is to have good space buffer, scan well ahead, look at other drivers, and remember that the right-of-way is never taken, it is always given. So in other words, another driver has to give you the right-of-way for you to be able to go and have the right-of-way. If another driver is insisting that he or she is going to go, you do not have the right-of-way. No matter how much you balk or you try, you have to give other drivers the right-of-way, so it's always given. Okay? Okay, Delvey, shifting video coming fast. There we go. Okay, so I'll put that on the list. I'll write that down. Manual transmission. So, Delvey, I'll just clarify that. So you just want to see me driving the vehicle just regular as I would normally, and some of the techniques and skills you can use to actually drive faster. Is that what you're looking for? Okay, Zaire, who is the right-of-way in residential areas, left-turning vehicles or right-turning vehicles? Okay, so Zaire, just to reiterate what I said earlier, straight-through vehicles generally have the right-of-way over turning vehicles, and right-hand turning vehicles have the right-of-way over left-hand turning vehicles. So right-hand turning vehicles are going to go first. So that's the general rule. But again, I come back to the point that the right-of-way is always given. It's never taken. So if another vehicle is going to go in front of you, then you're going to give them the right-of-way because you're not going to risk a crash. All right? Sanjay, video on pedestrians crossing at intersections. So what is, Sanjay, what is it that you're looking for in terms of pedestrians crossing at an intersection? Just let me know there specifically what is it that you're looking for. You're out of here. Okay. Okay, so Ramesh, what do you suggest for installing muffler or exhaust sound on automatic cars? I'm not sure what you're asking me, Ramesh. Do you need to replace the exhaust in your car? Is that what you're asking me? Okay. Gordon. All right. So let's talk a little bit about speeding. This is a good question that what Gordon is saying. Yes, some police will pull you over thinking that you're going above the speed limit, but they don't have their camera on. And if you take that to court, and this is actually a good point that you raised, Gordon. If you go to traffic court and you fight that ticket, it's probably likely that the conviction is going to be thrown out because the police have no evidence that you were speeding, and the courts base it very much on radar. So the police use radar to catch you speeding, and they have that type of thing. Now, do not say that they don't have radar, because oftentimes the radar will be plumbed into the vehicle and they're driving down the road, and they can determine your speed from that radar gun that's fitted on the police cruiser, and they can have that evidence. So you would need to know whether they have that evidence or not, because a lot of times they do. And you have to also realize that, unfortunately, you know, there are people out there who are against the police, they're against the establishment, they're against the state. So yes, you're going to. And the point that I was going to make about this is yes, you can go to traffic court and you can fight the ticket. However, first of all, you need to realize that your ticket is probably only going to be $110, $150, maybe $200 on the outside for a speeding ticket. Most of us who work during the day, we make $200-$300 a day. Okay, so you're going to spend all day in traffic court. The one time that I did go to traffic court, which I would suggest that if you have a ticket, go to court, see what it's about. Because what happened was I spent half the day in court because I had to wait for everybody else to go. Now, I went to court. It was an inexperienced police officer and got up there and failed to tell the judge a couple of key important information. The first key piece of information that the police officer failed to tell the judge was what I was being charged with. And because the police officer didn't tell the court what I was being charged with, the judge threw it out and my case was dismissed. Whereas other police officers, experienced veteran police officers, gave enormous amounts of evidence about their skills and abilities and the training that they had in using these radar guns, these speed cameras, and the conditions of the roadway, where they were, what the traffic flow was, and those types of things. And they got a conviction because they had experience in courtrooms. So know that it might be cheaper to simply pay the ticket as opposed to losing a day of work. So that's the thing you got to balance out. And the other thing is the probability of you actually winning the court case and getting off the ticket. So those are some of the questions you need to ask yourself if you're actually going to fight a ticket. Now, the other point that I was going to make, and the point that you made, was a few kilometers an hour above. If you're going a few kilometers an hour above the speed limit and you're not exceeding the traffic flow, you're probably not going to get pulled over unless it's a new police officer and they're ticked off or whatever. Most of the time, you're not going to get pulled over for driving with the traffic flow. If you're weaving in and out of traffic and those types of things, then yes, you're probably going to get pulled over. But just know that most of the time, if you just keep up with the traffic flow, you're not going to get a speeding ticket. If you're doing excessive above the posted speed limit, yes, you're going to get pulled over. Yes, Sadan, yes, there are some differences. There's some similarities, but there are some differences. Okay. Yes, that's true. There are lots of people who cannot drive. Gordon, okay, what techniques? So you simply look down the road, just get used to them. When you're sitting at the lights, Gordon, just start timing the lights. How long is it green? How long is it yellow? How long is it red? Is there a dead zone in the intersection? Most intersections will have a dead zone. From the time that your traffic light goes red to the other light goes green is often a 2-second delay, and that's called a dead zone in the intersection, and that's just for purposes of safety. So if you can start counting how long the traffic light stays a certain color, then you can start reading the traffic lights better. And as well, look at the traffic lights and try and figure out whether there's an advanced left turn signal and what the patterns is for the traffic lights, and that will help you to read them better and to time them. I am Boss. Yes, I love sports cars, and my dream sports car is a Maserati. That's mine. Okay, Rami, I live in Lebanon. Oh, excellent. Hello to Lebanon. And you are most welcome. That is really awesome. Thanks for telling us that, Rami. I am just really awesome. Congratulations. There you go, Sat Ann. Awesome. So yeah, any contributions. So Sat Ann, what I would really encourage you to do, have a look down in the description there and join our mastermind group, and it would really be interested in hearing what you have to say about driving in Russia, driving in Siberia with cars and trucks and those types of things. That would really be some great information that you could share over there on the mastermind group. So please be sure to sign up for that. All right, we're nearing the 1 hour here, so we're just going to leave it there. I'm going to say goodnight. If you liked the live feed and you liked what you saw here, hit that thumbs up button, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Head over to the Facebook group and sign up for the mastermind group and help other drivers learn how to drive, get their license, and help veteran drivers to remain crash free. And thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for showing up. Have an awesome Happy New Year. I'm sure you got all your resolutions in place and your goals, and set those up, and going to get yourself going in a great 2018. And it's going to be really awesome for everybody. And for those of you in the last few weeks have passed road tests, congratulations on that. For those of you who have road tests coming up, by all means get in touch with me. Leave a comment down in the videos there, and be more than happy to help you out to be successful on your road test. And finally, if you're starting out and you want some more help, there's a course, Pass Your Road Test First Time, over at the Smart Drive Test website. Look down in the description there. There's a 30% coupon for that. You pick that up for about 20 bucks over at the Smart Drive Test website. All right, so again, thanks so much for showing up. Sad ad. Facebook. Yes, Facebook, one of the largest websites in the world. Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks very much for showing up. Good luck on your road test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.